Let's see here. There we go. There we go. Okay. Pop out the chat, put it in the other monitor, stretch it out, change that to live chat. There we go. And here we are. Hope you folks are doing well. Happy Sunday or Monday, depends on where you live. OFC, how you doing? Kriegs, talking Heretic Legions Waterboys? Indeed, a little bit. Can't wait. Guess that means Adam got his TC box set. I didn't, actually. So I'm part of the Trench Arena thing that's going on with Army Painter and Trench Crusade. We're working together to do kind of like an escalation league thing and whatever. And the faction that I picked was the Naval Raiders, but they can't send me the plastics yet. So they basically sent me some 3D prints. They 3D printed some stuff, didn't send me STLs. They sent me some 3D prints and mailed them to me. I got them Friday or Thursday. I think Friday. I think I got them on Friday. And so yesterday I glued them to bases and textured them, not all of them, just about 6 of them. I'll show you some pictures in a bit. And then I primed them and I kind of did a bit of a Zenithal thing, and I'm going to go forward. I need to get at least one of them done before the end of the month, because that's kind of like the first deadline on this sort of escalation thing. So I'm behind in comparison to everybody else. But yeah, so, but it was because I was like, oh, I want to do the Naval Raiders. They look super cool, but they couldn't send me the plastics yet. So plastics are still coming out this summer, I think, but I'm going to be using 3D prints at least for this part of the project. Let's see here. Nurgle Matthew, how you doing? Matt Murley, potentially catching you live for the first time. I hope so. Working on green blood angels today. Interesting. Like Vulcan blood angels. Ooh. Let's see here. Afternoon from overcast Sussex, where I'm working on an app to bring to UK Games Expo. Oh, that's cool. Feisty Crabman, how you doing? Going from Central Texas, drinking coffee and working on the last details on Vulcan Heston. Nice. Need to refill coffee? Good idea. On time? I've never been on time. Well, you know. How you doing, Doug? Adequate coffee reserves is essential to early morning painting. Yeah, I can understand that. Good morning from a slightly whiter Saskatchewan. Currently having a day of fluffy rain, despite the temps being above freezing. You're getting snow? It's like mid-May. That's no fun. Yesterday it was like 82. It was lovely. Very dry. It was nice for once. I mean, it's sprinkling now, but, you know, try and stop it. Let's see. Good morning from lovely Washington, D.C. Just got in my last game of 10th edition, wrapping up a crusade with a triumphant tie. Nice. Good afternoon from Kent, England. How you doing? Brisbane, how you doing? Denmark, howdy. Ralph, how you doing? Reporting in from Canada, localized entirely. How you doing? Yukon, Oklahoma. How you doing, Rodney? Morning from warm and sunny Middle Tennessee. Los Angeles. Ottawa. Hope everyone's having a pleasant one. VJ Morph, how you doing? Sunny Florida Panhandle. Hoping to finally get some painting done soon, as life has kept me away from it for a few months. Yeah, that'll happen. Morning from Philadelphia, getting started with an airbrush today for the first time in 30 years of painting. I'm scared. There's nothing to be frightened with an airbrush. I mean, if you take that needle out and you poke yourself with it real hard, like by accident, you can be slightly afraid of that. But just don't point it at your face. You're probably fine. Yeah, airbrush is actually surprisingly simple. I would tell you to practice, like always, practice on something you don't care about too much, like some plastic spoons or just weird plastic, stuff you've got around or whatever. Just get the hang of, like, the the trigger and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, you'll do great. Good morning from Mid Michigan. How you doing? Hello, hello, Motor Breath Jazz. Gary Henry, how you doing? Blade Runner. Good afternoon from an overcast but nice Isle of Wight. There you go. Morning from Albuquerque, working on my 3rd edition 40K Witch Hunters army, and then heading off to play a game of Cauldron with a buddy. Oh, nice. I just saw that I have a copy of Cauldron. They gave me a copy at Adepticon 3 years back, and I know that I think Ash on Guerrilla Miniature Games just did a video about Cauldron. So that's pretty cool. Morning from Omaha. How you doing? Good morning from a hot and humid southern New Jersey. Clipping old school Tau Crisis suits off the sprues to use as 28mm mechs in miniature agnostic games here in North Carolina. Nice. That sounds like a good idea. What do we got here? Kansas City, Gloomhaven cleanup, then painting some terrain and FDG dungeon tiles. Nice. Fat Dragon Games. Very cool. I have a box, an unopened box of Frosthaven in my basement that I need to figure out what to do with because it weighs 170 pounds. All right, it's not that heavy, but it's pretty heavy. It's surprisingly heavy for a game. It's, yeah. Hello from Montreal, Central Texas. Good time of day. Listening while clearing our dining room ready for decorators tomorrow. Oh, that'll be fun. I have plans to use skeletal pirates, aka Pirates of the Caribbean, for my Naval Raiders. I could see that, sure. Checking in from a warmish South Ontario. There you go. Afternoon from the French Alps, working on my 2nd bad Eng diorama with my niece. Turns out she's very fond of heroic fantasy. Well, that's good. Hi from Cape Town. How you doing? Glad to catch you live. Painting 30 faces for 40K to get better at them. Wow. All right. I was today years old when I learned that bald heads are actually a buzz cut if you back yourself. Okay. If you believe in, I can see that. Sure. Why not? Looking forward to the new TC Plastics to expand my heretics. Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him as well. I mean, we've seen pictures, obviously, and I've got, I've got 6 of the sculpts here. They're just not, these are actually 3D prints. They're not the plastics, but it's the same basic stuff, right? So I don't know. But I'll show you some close-up pictures. This camera doesn't focus. It's a manual, it's a manual focus. And then if I change it, then it's a thing. So I just took some pictures before the show with my phone, and we'll see how those work out. Good news from Chicagoland. Mowing a lawn and anticipating TMX. What models should I bring? In most situations, if you're coming to play, you just, people who are running the games are going to have all the stuff. So you don't really need to bring anything. Now, if there was a game that you wanted to, if you were planning on playing in a game and you wanted to bring your own models, you could do that if you wanted to. Sometimes that works out too. Let's see here. Good Sunday morning from Sarnia, Ontario. Hope everyone's good. Morning from Ontario. How you doing? Blasted Salmon Flange. Let's see here. Still finishing Friday's video right now. Another 8 minutes. Hold everything. Okay. It was a long one. And it got really lousy views, unfortunately, but it's kind of to be expected. It did at least finally bump up. When I woke up in the morning on Friday, it was at 10 out of 10, which you would be like, well, 10 out of 10 is good. 10 out of 10 is bad on YouTube. 10 out of 10 means out of the last 10 videos, including that one, it is in 10th place for views at that moment in time, comparative to the other videos when they were at that same moment in time, being, let's say, 6 hours after launch or whatever. So it is now 9 out of 10, which means it is now finally beating the video that I did about using the historical colors to paint those models from The Damned, which I thought would do better as well. But evidently, I don't know. It just, I think you put the word historical in the title, and then a lot of people just go, no, I'm not going to watch that. So anyway, the Q&A video, I think part of the reason the Q&A video started to finally accelerate a little bit is just because I had a lot of people in the comments who were like, oh yeah, usually I watch this while I'm eating breakfast, but it's really long, so I'll have to watch it when I get home. And so I think that's the normal people who watched it early normally, couldn't watch it. And so that was the thing. But yeah, I don't see myself. I know that there's talk about how like the new meta in YouTube is to make longer videos, but I don't buy it. So I don't see myself doing 50-minute videos going forward. Also, it takes forever to edit, which is no fun. Let's see here. Ontario. Good night. Good midnight, North Queensland. How you doing? Greetings from Racine. No hobby for me today as I have to work in an hour. Well, that's a bummer. Pondering basing schemes for some test paint schemes. Nice. Morning from Arkansas. I found teaser art for more crazy Bushido models. Nice. Good afternoon from a very wet South Wales, finishing my boarding actions boards ready for launch. Very cool. Planning my Space Wolves Red Corsairs. Hello from Quebec City. Time to get the sponge out and do some terrain. Nice. Has the release date for Carcass Front been announced? I don't think so. It's this summer from what I've been told, but I don't know if it's been officially announced. Good afternoon from Czechia. Listening during a walk with a sleeping kid. There you go. Orc commandos waiting on table. Nice. Love that you use the South Park method to make your videos. Wait till the last minute. Yeah, I've always done it that way. I've been doing it that way. Like I said, pretty well. Okay, so like if I have to go someplace, I have to travel, like to Adepticon or Gen Con or whatever, then obviously I can't. Then I have to basically make the video before I leave so I can go live while I'm gone. But for the most part, yeah, I've always worked pretty much last minute. I don't know. I don't know why. Again, like someday it's going to come back and bite me in the butt, but so far so good. Knock on wood. Good day from Gilbert, Arizona. Going to be 100 today. Ooh, that's no fun. Like I liked the fact that it finally started getting warm here a little bit. Like I said, it was near 80, maybe a little bit over 80 yesterday. I was outside a bit anyway. We finally we finally sold my mom's car. My mom's, she had a 2020 Kia Soul in kind of a burnt orange color. And when she passed, she still owed like $9,000 on it. So we paid that off, and then it's been sitting here for a while. And there was thought that maybe my wife was going to drive it because her car was 26 years old and failing. But it turns out she doesn't like that car. She's very particular, which is why she's been holding on to the same car for 26 years. So she got a different car recently, new to her. It's a used Volkswagen. She's been a Volkswagen person since she bought a car in the year 2000 because she's had the one Volkswagen. Anyway, now she's got a new one. And so we decided we needed to sell the other car to basically kind of help cover the cost on that. So we ended up going with Carvana. They gave us what we looked like a pretty good price. Now that to be said, that car is like I said, a 2020. It's 6 years old. It does not yet have 4,300 miles on it. It's less than 4,300 miles on it because my mom just quintessential little old lady, not really driving a lot. So so the price was good that they gave us. It was fine, and so that was cool. And they came and picked it up, and it was very simple and easy and everything and all that stuff. But I had to get the title put into my name, and that was a hassle, and it was all that kind of stuff. So anyway, so yesterday I was vacuuming out the car because it was kind of a mess. And I'm like, I don't think they would be like, look, we're going to take $100 off because you didn't vacuum. But still, I figured whatever. And then I vacuumed my car because my car kind of needed a vacuum anyway. So I was outside and it was lovely. Let's see here. Good evening from Western Australia. Have been having some hiccups with my Bamboo A1. Spent some time doing deep cleaning and calibrations. Oh, that's no good. My initial A1, basically after TMX, my plan is to spend some time trying to, well, I'm not going to try to fix it. I'm just going to replace the head. I already tried to fix the head, and I don't know what's going on. There's something going on in there that's just, it's clogged and I can't figure it out. And a new print head for the machine cost $32. So I was like, well, I'll just buy a new head and replace it, and then that should fix the thing. And then I'll have two A1s, which will be kind of nice, actually. Nurgle Matthew, hello again. Let's see here. Doing Commander Dante in Army Painter Glittering Green, and the Army's main color is Vallejo Deep Green. Same for Dante's shoulders. Interesting. Use the unopened box of Frosthaven as a stand-in for your 3D printer. Your printer will never be nudged ever again. Interesting. Good morning, Uncle Adam. Been loving Space Weirdos. Nice. Thanks for telling us about it. Absolutely. Good afternoon from Norfolk. Painting a rat ogre from Spearhead to see the differences in quality from 3 years ago when I painted an STL for the first time. There you go. It's pretty cool. Greetings from Ulm. Currently building some red Corsairs and metal centaurs or centigars. There you go. Good morning from Missouri. Going to try Noosh for the first time today. It's fun to say. I've never used it, but it's fun to say. Finally bit the bullet and grabbed an unopened Vor the Maelstrom box off eBay for a reasonable price. Nice. It's full of pewter miniature goodness. The Union troops will make great generic military types. I vaguely remember Vor the Maelstrom. I don't think I ever played, but I watched it played a couple of times at Gen Con, I think. Way back in the 90s. But yeah. I've done some eBay myself recently. I bought some books. Like, if I could have just got those books as PDFs, I would have, because these books are heavy. But I've been getting interested in, like, designer toys or art toys or, you know, stuff like that. Indie toys, some people call them. Oof, jeez. And so I bought these books. I've got I Am Plastic from Kid Robot, I Am Plastic 2, which is the sequel, also from Kid Robot, and then another one called We Are Indie Toys, which is from a guy named Lewis. I don't know. But yeah, I hadn't done any eBaying in quite some time, but these are pretty interesting, and they're basically just a lot of photos and text and talking about different creators and things like that. Though I would have preferred a PDF, I'll be honest, this is better than having an entire house full of these toys. Like, I'm very interested in the art form, but I don't really want to go ham with collecting. Because I already have enough stuff here in the house. But I'm very interested in the art form, and I want to learn more about it. So, and as long as I don't get, the books real damaged or anything like that, I can turn around and resell them down the road if I need to or want to. Let me see here. The videos I've seen have looked great and less mess than oil washing. Oh, noosh. I was like, okay, yeah. I've been rapidly devouring episodes of Snarlcast. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. You don't have to do it rapidly. I mean, you wipe away a little bit of the foam. Easily my favorite podcast right now. Well, that's very nice of you to say. Love how you and Vince break down the game design process. We've got a new one going up tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Central Time. I have to edit it this afternoon. We recorded it last week Sunday, and so it'll go up tomorrow morning. What else? There's also other news. Oh, this morning, like really super early, like 2 o'clock in the morning, I got an email that said that our second proof for Repent, Ye Foolish Gods, is being shipped. So hopefully we will get it Monday or Tuesday, because we paid $133 or whatever for next day air shipping, even though it took them more than a week to actually print it. This is what the back looks like. I like the back artwork too. Trying to get some not glare on there, but there we go. Yeah. So the printing was perfect. Everything was fine with the printing. Like, this was all great. The problem was that okay, so here on page 17, it talks about how to choose your warriors, right? And there's one of the types of warriors is called a bastard, one is called a cursed, one is called a fallen, one is called a soldier, and one is called a wronged. The problem is that there are 6, not 5. So that was a problem. There's also one called the Forsaken, which coincidentally enough, I forsook by not putting into the book. So discovered it after we got the proof, which is the worst time. And yeah, what happened was, I think, is that I took a break. Like I got to Fallen here, and then like these stats, parts of the stats are right here where it says Fallen base stats, but the talents are wrong. So I think what happened is I was going through, and then I went up to like, get lunch or do something, and I came back, and then I like skipped ahead a little bit and then completely missed it. So anywho, so there was a couple other little tweaks and things we needed to fix anyway. So we just made the changes and then got a second proof, which, like I said, I should get Monday or Tuesday at the latest. And if everything's cool, then I'll be able to order books, and hopefully I should have them in time for TMX. But otherwise, launch is fine. Like launch was not an issue. Launching on the 2nd or the 5th of June. The rain's picked up. That wasn't going to be a problem. I was just worried about getting the proof back in time so that we could make sure to order, because we need to make sure that second proof is right and everything's cool, and then we'll order X amount of copies to have at TMX and stuff like that. There was a couple of years ago, was it Death Wizards maybe? I think it was Death Wizards. We didn't have the books there because we didn't give ourselves enough time for the second proof, and there's a whole thing. So anyway, that's where we're at right now. Let's see here. Have you seen the Goblin Hobby stamp kits? I have, yep. A nail varnish type paint on a metal shape and then applied by a silicone surface to your model. Yep. Yeah, it's it took me a little while to figure it out. The trick that I did not understand, and it was actually, I got to sit with Casey and Brent last year at Nova Open. The thing that I wasn't doing was I wasn't understanding how quickly you have to move from the time that you transfer the stuff onto the stamp to the time that you put that stuff onto the model. You cannot dilly-dally. There is no dilly-dallying. So you put some of the slop, you know, the whatever that stuff is, you put it onto the metal plate, you wipe it off, you stamp, you make sure the stamp's clean, and you stick it. You have to be very quick. You want to, once you transfer it to the stamp, and then you're like, now what model am I going to put this on? Oh gosh, my fudge. I have, you've got to put it on there fast because it'll dry on this, and then you'll go, and then it'll just fall off on the floor or whatever, or just won't work. So there's a clock running. As soon as you touch it to the plate and pick it up onto the thing, you need to get it onto the model as fast as possible. And that was what I was not doing. So if you're having trouble, or if anyone's having trouble with that type of thing, that's the tricky part that I didn't quite understand. So let's see here. I very much enjoyed Friday's video. Well, good. I'm glad to hear. Getting a set of Goblin Hobby stamps for my birthday next week. Nice. Well, happy birthday. It's a shame because I thoroughly enjoyed the video. The end statement of being content was very comforting for an old gamer to hear from another. There was a bunch of people who thought I was doing like a play on words because they thought I was saying that to describe it, it was content, but I was just saying I was basically just trying to say that I'm pretty content with the way things are. Like I like making the videos. I like the people enjoy the videos. I like, I'm not like, I wish I was Mr. Beast or some kind of, that kind of thing. I think it's a good thing to be content. I think, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, that was the word that came into my head. So, and then I was like, yeah, I think that's a good way to tie her up. Tie up the end of the thing, the video there, the lightning round. Nobody evidently was annoyed by the lightning round, which was my concern, that maybe somebody would be like, the lightning kind of got old there, but no one said in the comments that they were. So I guess, okay, that's fine. I did have to mess with the audio quite a bit because I was like, I don't want it to be too loud, but I still needed to be there. There was a lot of testing, the leveling, all that kind of stuff. Let's see here. I use historical paints for Warhammer 40K. I just think it makes sense. I mean, I like those colors anyway, so there's that. I have a tendency to go down that road. These Naval Raiders, well, here, let me show you the picture. Oops, clunked the mic. I apologize. Let's see here. Photos. There we go. So anyway, there's 6 of them glued to this. They're not glued. They're Gorilla mounting putty stuck on the stick. There's 6 of them. Okay. Currently, and what I've done is I've glued them to bases, and then I've put some texture on the bases so they kind of match the other stuff that I've done already from Trench Crusade. I have 2 other forces finished right now. I have Trench Pilgrims. That was the first one that I did. And then the second one I did was the Prussians. So anyway, these guys, I basically did the basing and all that kind of stuff. And then I primed them black. And then I used a color called Uniform Gray as the zenithal instead of using like white or something like that. And the reason I did that is because I want these guys to be kind of, they're going to be kind of grimdark and whatever. And my plan is that, I don't know if you guys can see this real well. I don't know if maybe the other picture is a little bit better. No, honestly, it's not. But basically they have like some cloth parts and they have a lot of metal parts. Helmet is metal. Chest top part is metal, shoulder pads are metal, wrist thingies, knee pads, all that stuff. Boots are kind of metal, all that jazz. My plan is to do all of that stuff in a silver color and then throw sepia tone over it to turn it into almost kind of a soft brass as the base for that metallic stuff. But all the cloth parts, like the upper arms, upper legs, all that stuff, I'm basically going to keep it kind of gray. So it's going to kind of stay this color. So that's why I zenithaled in this color, this kind of uniform gray, because I wanted the cloth bits to be gray. For a while, I was kicking around the idea of doing it more like a canvasy bone color, but I didn't want it to be that light. So I decided to go with this kind of color to start. And then, like I said, I'm going to paint all the metal parts. And then my plan is that I'm going to give it a unifying wash, kind of like the marine juice that I usually use, except I'm going to make a different marine juice for this particular set. And it's going to have more of a green tinge to it because, again, these guys come out of the water. These guys basically live under the sea, but not like the Little Mermaid. They're very much not like the Little Mermaid. There's no singing, I don't think. Maybe some chanting, but that's about it. But yeah, so I've got, let's see here. We got a grenade launcher guy. God dang it. At some point I dropped it and this guy's, shoot. You can see the guy in the middle there. He lost the tip of his bayonet. That's awesome. I did drop this onto the stool that I sit on. It was like not very far, but it looks like I snapped that thing off. So I'm going to have to try to figure out how to fix that. So that'll be fun. Anyway, so we've got a bolt-action rifle guy, grenade launcher guy. This guy's got what looks like, I think, is a assault rifle. Yep. The other guy's also got an assault rifle, and then that last guy with the rag over his head kind of thing, he's got an axe and like some sort of a swordy thingy, whatever. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. But I dropped him, I picked him up, I'm like, did I break anything? And I didn't think I did, but it turns out I did. So I don't know if I can find that, probably not, so I might have to replace it. What are you gonna do? Anyway, so yeah, these guys, like I said, are what I'm gonna work on. And I'm probably going to focus on one of them and try to get them done as quickly as possible so I can send the pictures to Tyler at Army Painter and all that kind of stuff. And then it'll be kind of a test model for the other folks. You know what I mean? So anyway, and I'll probably use some military colors on these guys too, because I don't see myself using any bright, reds or bright oranges or any kind of stuff like that particularly either. feel like it's getting darker. Turn up the light a little bit. There we go. When I saw the timestamp on Friday's video, I stopped watching to save it for a paint session. So I watched it this morning while painting. I suspect this video will do better over time. Potentially, yeah. Good morning. Thinking about getting into Star Wars Legion. Well, it seems like they're going to keep doing it. Atomic Mass Games made a newer game called Star Wars Shatterpoint, which they've already kind of started to put on hold because it's not selling as well, I think, as Star Wars Legion is. So that's probably good for you if you're thinking about Star Wars Legion. If you were to say, hey, I want to play a Star Wars game, which one should I look into? I would tell you Legion over Shatterpoint, that's for sure. Let's see here. Good morning from Columbus, Ohio. Regarding videos, they all can't be bangers. Also true. Very true. Super excited for my Carcass front box. I recently pre-ordered it in my local game store. Nice. Allentown, Pennsylvania. How you doing? Do I recall you got a copy of Alpha Strike Scouring Sands? Have you played it yet? I have not had the chance to play it yet. I haven't had a chance to play much of anything lately because it's been all getting Repent done, and there was Adepticon in there as well, and then now it's everything getting ready for TMX. Very much looking forward to the 15th of June. That's what I'm looking forward to. Sorry the QA videos didn't do well. Really enjoyed it. Well, I appreciate it. I mean, the thing is that like number of views is maybe not super high, but like, watch time was not bad. So, that helps. Painting CNN this morning? I don't know what that is. Huh. If you wait until the last minute, it only takes a minute to do, just saying. I mean, that would be cool, but it's not. Not the way it works for me. Good morning from Ohio, working today, but planning to stream painting some Black Grail minis with my games club Tuesday night. Nice. Warm near 80. Our low wasn't even 80. Well, yeah. It's Wisconsin. Auto market is a volatile thing. It's true. Sorry about Friday's video. I liked it. I don't blame anybody. It's just, but I appreciate that you folks liked it. I mean, like, there was nobody in the comments who were like, you suck. Like, that's always like, sometimes views are low, but as long as the comments are generally pretty positive, then I'm like, okay, well, this was still liked. It just wasn't liked by as many people. But it's when you get comments that are like, wow, this seems like it was dumb and your face is dumb and you're stupid and it was lazy or whatever, which rarely ever happens. That's when you're like, maybe I've made a mistake. You know what I mean? When does Space Weirdos 2 come out from Osprey Games? I don't know. Sometime this year, I think. And I don't know if it's being called Space Weirdos 2. I think it's maybe second edition, I suppose. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, if you guys haven't heard, Casey from Garsky Games is, he announced last month, I think, that he's going to be working with Osprey, and they're going to be making a second edition, like sort of fancy version of Space Weirdos. So that's pretty cool. And he's going to be doing some other stuff with them as well. I mean, he's done some stuff with them already. I have back here somewhere, I have one of the books. He made a game called Void Fighters, which is like a spaceship combat game. And that's already been published by Osprey. It's one of the blue books, I can relate to the car. I loved my Nissan Versa Hilda for 17 years until she gave up the ghost and went to Carhala. Yeah. Assembling another orc unit of boys to top my WA up for a bit after release day. Gotcha. Found my filament for my A1 is susceptible to humidity and wouldn't feed into my A1. As it turns out, like almost all filament is susceptible to humidity. That's what caused my initial problem back in the day, is I didn't realize, I mean, I had let the filament sit on the spool for like quite some time. And then it was like summer and humid. And then I was like, hey, why don't you print some stuff? And then it got all clogged up and stuck inside there. So I've been I've paid very close attention to the humidity in the basement since. And if it's like summer and the humidity is going up, if I print something as soon as it's done, like as minute it's done on the print bed, I go downstairs, unload the filament and put it in a big plastic bag, one of those big, huge Ziplocs. and then throw. But I've got some of these big honking desiccant packets I got on Amazon. Like, those little white things that says "Do not eat." That's in like electronics and stuff like that. They make big, huge ones. And then you can throw a bunch of those in there and then Ziploc it up, and it will suck any kind of moisture out. And then your filament will last longer and stuff like that. But if you just let your filament just sit on the spool, especially on a humid day, it will slightly microscopically swell, and then it has a problem going through your printer. So something important to watch out for. Does this mean you'll be collecting Gundams soon? No. No, I like the cool art toys. I think they're really an interesting art form, and I'm very interested because it's something where I'm like, there's a part of me that wants to try to make some, maybe a little bit, maybe down the road, because I'm thinking I've been painting miniatures for 25 years. These are just big miniatures. You know what I mean? So maybe I don't know. I've been watching a lot of videos. I've been doing some research. It may not go anywhere, but like I said, I thought these books were pretty cool. So yeah, not an issue in the winter. Yeah, no, that when our basement's nice and dry in the winter too, so that's not too big of a deal. It's usually summer that's the problem. Painting Death Troopers from Star Wars Legion with AK play marker. Gives very smooth finish, half matte, gets into all the tight spaces and stuff. I'm not familiar with the AK play marker. Good morning, Uncle Adam. Vor the Maelstrom is a great game. Played it in the early 2000s and got to play it again at Gen Con this past year. No kidding. This year. Oh, wow, that's very cool. A good dry box will always help your FDM prints. I don't know what a dry box is. I mean, I have a box that goes around my spool that's made by a company called Polymaker, I think. And you plug it in and it warms it a little bit, and then you can also put desiccant things in there so it helps to keep it, dry as well. But I don't, is a dry box something that goes around the whole printer? That I don't know. It would be sort of nice too, I suppose. Finally got some new minis, a bunch of unopened skeletons I found at a garage sale, about 40 of them. Nice. I already painted every last one. Just obsessively binge painted them. Nice. Local FLGS just got a monster restock of their Gundam kit selection. Oh, that's pretty cool. Have you heard about Bloody Hollow? I don't think so, no. It's a pretty cool game where you play solo or in a group. No, I haven't heard about that one, no. Shelf of Shame is empty. I mean, that's supposed to be good, right? Seriously anxious to get my hands on Repent. Well, don't be anxious, but I'm glad that you're looking forward to it. Will there be copies of your game for sale at your convention? That is the hope. That is the plan. So like I said, if it shows up tomorrow or Tuesday and everything looks good, then I will probably order them, and they should be here in time for, because the convention at this point is a little bit less than a month away. It's creeping up on 3 weeks. So, should be fine. It's going to get hotter as summer goes on, but that just means more time inside to paint, right? I mean, generally, yes. The cover is great. Who's the artist again? Darius. His last name starts with K. It's long. It's Polish. I've got it written down, but I don't know where I put it. Oh, wait. It's in the book. Just look there, I suppose. Darius Kielisic. Yeah, he's well, it's unfortunately that's how it's spelled on Instagram, but it's Darius, Dariusz, and then the last name is Kielizek, and it's on Instagram. So just like if you type in the first name Darius, which is basically like how you would spell Darius in English, and you throw a Z on the end, and then start typing Kiel, like Kiel, it'll probably autofill the rest of it, I hope. But yeah, he does great work. Some of the stuff that's in the book, including the cover, is work that he'd already done that we just basically licensed from him. We were like, can we license this and this and this and this of the stuff that he had in his portfolio? And there was a couple of pieces he was like, somebody else has already licensed those or whatever. Those were done for different projects, so that was fine. But a bunch of the stuff, the benefit is that we licensed a bunch of it, so it was already done. And then I think of the 20 pieces we got from him, I think 11 of them were licensed and 9 of them were completely brand new, or the other way around. I don't remember. It was definitely 11 and 9, but I don't remember which way is which. But yeah, so really great work. And I highly recommend. In my 20s, I told myself I was a tabletop game and comics guy, so I couldn't be a toy guy too because of budgetary and storage limitations. That's the thing. And like watching a lot of videos about this stuff, I see like videos about like this guy and his collection, and it's just like every surface in his house is covered in like sofubi. Sofubi are like soft vinyl toys, predominantly Japanese, a lot of like movie monsters and things like that and whatever and all that kind of stuff. And Sofubi's fine. It's fine. I like it fine, but I'm not as interested in that stuff as I am, more the art stuff as opposed to just like the more vintage stuff. I'm definitely, there's also, I come across videos from time to time, but like this guy's collected everything that was ever Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like, action figures. And I got no interest in that stuff. I like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like the original ones, the black and white ones, but I don't want to collect vintage toys. I don't have that kind of nostalgia, thankfully. I also assumed you were making a play on words just as a fun joke. You seemed perfectly content with the contents of your work that you've shared with us. I mean, it wasn't the plan. I think I'm getting a little bit more. I'm getting a little bit more credit than I should. Just managed to get my hands on some 30 by 60 bases, and they seem so odd looking under the lion and other models. Yeah, are they like rectangular? I don't like square rectangular bases. Am I the only one who wondered why the old Tau crisis suits have 4 hard points but could only use 3 of them? I don't understand that either. No. Found a new game at Salute in the UK of Oil and Iron. That sounds familiar. I don't usually play mech games, but it has a lovely diesel punk aesthetic. That's making more sense now. Some minis have Bioshock looking elements. Nice. Working on a new Robot Legions faction for Insurgent Earth. Nice. It's all fun and games till you lose your tip. Yeah, I'm bummed about that. Well, I'll have to, like I said, if I can either find it, maybe there's a super slim chance that it actually fell onto the stool maybe, and it's actually sitting on the seat. Or if not, I can probably find another one and glue it on there, like from like a Imperial Guard dude or something like that. Under the Sea, but death metal. Ooh, that'd be kind of cool. It's absurd to be repainting freshly stripped assault intercessors and realize they're a better display of my painting skills than Gaz, who's presently in my orcs drawer. Ooh. I was sleeping in and annoyed to be woken by a car alarm, but now I'm happy since it woke me up in time for the Every Other Sunday show. Well, there you go. That said, the car alarm is still going off 20 minutes later. Well, eventually that battery will die, I assume. Shatterpoint should have used the same scale as Legion. Some say that all the games that they've produced for Star Wars should have used the same scale in general. They've produced, well, not including the spaceship ones. That's a totally different kettle of fish. But they produced 3 different Star Wars games: Imperial Assault, Legion, and Shatterpoint. Every one of them a completely different scale. But that's how they get you to buy the same stormtroopers over and over and over again. So yeah, I get it. I watched your Q&A last night while working on a bunch of different projects. I found it enjoyable. Glad you are happy with the whole thing. It'd be a bummer if you weren't. Well, that's true. Only thing that stopped me from buying Warhammer stuff is that I have run out of space. Price hikes just help with decisions not to buy. I mean, yeah, I get that. Greetings from Linton, Indiana. How you doing? Hello from Charlotte, North Carolina. Had to pick up a part-time job, so I work 7 days a week. Oh, that's a bummer. I say I have money for hobby stuff now, but no time. At least I can watch you live now. Well, that last part's fine. I appreciate that. But yeah, that is the problem sometimes, is you finally get the money together to be able to do stuff, and then you're like, oh, but now I don't have, I don't have the time to do it. So jealous of everyone in the chat, all of them painting or assembling while I'm here working at Amazon. I don't know. Oathmark 2 is coming this year, too. Hadn't heard anything about other books. Interesting. Are you going to Gen Con for Army Painter in 26? I'm going to Gen Con. I don't know that I'm going for, I don't think I'm going for Army Painter. Just because Gen Con is real weird. And it's like last year, last year, Adepticon had a very small 10 by 10 booth, like quite small 10 by 10 booth. So the one thing that you don't want when you have a convention of 72,000 people and a 10 by 10 booth is you don't want a bunch of extra dorks like me standing around in the booth talking to people and saying, hey, how's it going? And all that kind of stuff and everything. When you have a bit more space, then having a guy like me there is fine. But when it's already pretty cramped, having me standing there talking to people is not helpful. So I did not. I was at Gen Con because I go to Gen Con, but I was just there. I wasn't there working with the folks. Like if they would have needed me to come by and be like, "Hey, so and so's got to get lunch. Can you stand here?" And that would have been fine. But yeah. So I'm pretty sure that's going to be the case again this year. I don't think they've gotten a bigger booth again. They're trying to. Gen Con's real weird about like it takes forever for you to be able to get like a bigger booth, or else I'm assuming I mean, obviously a bigger booth costs more, but I think that some of the companies that go immediately to like a big booth status are like, well, we'll pay 3 times as much as normal. And then Gen Con is like, all right. Because like Bandai had like a massive booth last year. Well, maybe massive is a strong word. It was at least a 20 by 20, if not maybe a 30 by 30. And they had nothing to sell. They were just showing off the goofy Gundam Assemble game. And, well, that's not true. They're also talking about the card game, but then the card game was not for sale in the booth. You had to go to a different part of the building to get the card game. I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense. Why'd they spend so much money on a booth for no reason? But whatever. But they didn't have to, like, get in line and, like, go through all this rigmarole, but Army Painter does. I have assumptions. I have beliefs. One of my beliefs is that because GW has been with them for a very long time and has a big, huge, massive booth, that maybe that's part of the reason why Army Painter is having a hard time getting anything bigger than a 10 by 10. But who is to say? So anyway, I don't know. So currently, I'm going to be there. I'm just not necessarily going to be there for Army Painter, I guess. Let's see here. I always try to remember the wise words of Confucius. They can't always be bangers. It's true. It's true. Osprey announced that they have become their own entity of books and games as their parent company sold them. They said no new board games. I mean, that's fine. Just stumbled into this live stream. Love your videos. Thanks for putting in the effort. Well, I appreciate that. I only occasionally buy Warhammer models these days since I'm not interested in the current edition. Sure. I have a small $30 dehumidifier right behind the printer table, and it helps a little. I have 2 dehumidifiers in the basement. One of them is not running right now because it hasn't rained in a bit. Well, I mean, it sprinkled this morning, but for the longest time, I've had 1 dehumidifier in the basement, and then late April, early May, it just rained nonstop. Like it literally, like we were getting flood warnings because like the river was getting high and about to crest and all this kind of stuff. And so the basement was quite damp. So I went and bought a second dehumidifier. But now it's, like I said, it hasn't rained much. Like I said, sprinkling here and there, but it hasn't rained much. And the basement's been relatively dry, so I've turned one of them off, just save electricity, I guess. Or just move somewhere where the humidity rarely goes above 30%. Yeah, I mean, that's a thing too, but that's not where I live. In the summer, it's like, I don't know, what's the humidity right now? It's not bad right now, and it's 63%. So, let's see here. I'm interested in the new Army Painter's synthetic brushes. I love them. They are my daily drivers. That's the synthetic brushes, the new bionic brushes, as they're called. That's literally pretty much all I use. Well, I mean, I get dry brushes and other stuff, but the synthetic brushes for my main brushes, I mainly use a size 1, a size 5, but then going smaller, I've got a 5/0. I got a 10/0, which I almost never use. It's for like if I need to like just paint the eye on a Skaven or something like that. But otherwise, yeah, I use them all the time. I've never been a much of a natural hair guy, so there's that. But yeah, I do need to get a brush that's like between the 5/0 and the 1. I think there's a 00. I need to find one of those. Big miniatures, jumbo shrimp, indeed. A food dehydrator with programmable temps and metal racks has been my best hobby tool purchase in the year. It's not only great for filament, but it also curing paint quicker, especially oil washes. No kidding. I've just used an air or a hair dryer on oil washes if I use those. It's loud, but it does the job. Bought some vacuum resealable bags for my filament. Interesting. Jim Crimmins, how you doing? Working on Skaven? Skaven? Nice. Of Oil and Iron looks kind of like an indie computer game, Iron Harvest. World War I goes mechs and goes on for longer. The lore of Oil and Iron is post-apocalyptic. A smog fall event ends the world order. Oh, interesting. What is an art toy? Like Funko Pops? Kind of like that, but not. Like Funko Pops are like super just commercial versions of that. A lot of art toys are just these like vinyl or resin or whatever. It's like making a sculpture, and it's not a toy per se. It's not something you would play with and be like, "Wee" or whatever, but it's in that format, right? You know what I mean? But it is something you basically sit on a shelf and you look at. And but it's like a sculpture, and then people do stuff with it. I don't know. It's like a kind of a bit of a collectible art piece, but instead of it being a photograph or whatever, it's like a little object, So I'm kind of interested in it as a medium. I think it's very interesting. And every once in a while in one of those videos, I'll be like, oh, if I was there, I might buy that one. You know what I mean? I just don't want to have like shelves and shelves and shelves and shelves of them because I don't want to go down that road. Are those miniatures you showed available at retail yet? No, these will be done in plastic. They will be available in plastic. They're going to be available in a box called the Carcass Front. It is going to be a 2-player box. Let's see here. The Carcass Front. Thank you. Okay. And I'm here. Okay. There we go. So this is, estimated shipping begins on the 22nd of July. Okay, we got a date now. That's interesting. Cool. So this will be a new box coming from the Trench Crusade. It's called the Carcass Front. It is $130, and it will have 2 forces in there. So there will be the Heretic Naval Raiders versus the, what are they called? The Procession of the Sacred Affliction. So let's see here. No, it doesn't really blow up. Okay. But this is the leader guy for the Heretic Naval Raiders. They are literally guys like in diving suits, kind of. They live underwater. And they're, the Hell faction. And then the Sacred Affliction guys are kind of like lepers that walk around with these big millstones, and very frequently they're hung around their necks, but they're also sometimes swung around and smacking people with them. This guy here, the reason he's so red is because he is constantly bleeding, evidently. That's what we learned at Adepticon. Mike, who's like the creative force behind all of this Trench Crusade, he's like, I don't know, I just thought it'd be pretty cool if a guy was just bleeding all the time. So he's like, that's kind of how Mike goes. But yeah, so here's that guy. I'm working on that guy very soon. Like I said, he's right here. That's the guy. That's one of the church side faction guys. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of dudes. There we go. One of those guys is the guy that I broke the tip of his thingy off. Well, I can find it or fix it, whatever. And then these are some of the penitent whatever guys and more of those guys. And there's that guy who's bleeding all the time. Oh, yeah, I was going to check and see. Yeah, they must be on 25s. Yeah, because their feet are right up towards the edge. So those are on 25 millimeter bases. I wasn't sure because it tells you in the instructions, but I didn't get any instructions because they're, like I said, they just 3D printed some of the originals and sent them. But yeah, so it is a narrative campaign set for the Trench Crusade tabletop skirmish game that includes models for 2 opposing war bands, scenarios, and 2 campaigns for the game. So you're going to get a campaign book. You're going to get 2 complete war bands, which are the Procession of the Sacred Affliction and the Heretic Naval Raiders. You're going to get a selection of terrain pieces. You're going to get play sheets, score pad, and other materials for the campaign, a set of introductory rules for Trench Crusade, but again, Trench Crusade rules are free, and then also dice and rulers, evidently. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, it looks like shipping starts on the 22nd of July, so towards the end of July. So, and it'll be $130. So that's not too bad. But that's where that's at right now. There we go. Spool dryer is also a dry box and can also hold multiple rolls. They're even cheap and easy enough to, I get you, okay. I just use a cardboard box and lay it with the filament on top of the build plate with the mild heat. Gotcha. I found a rich vein of 2nd edition Stormcast Eternals, and I'm working on those now in my pile of shame. Nice. Do you think wargame design space, such as rules and dice systems, has been fully explored? Are games now just remixes? No, I think there's always something new under the sun. You know what I mean? And really, like, Vince and I talk about this in the podcast sort of frequently. Mechanics matter, rules matter, because they give you an idea of what's going on in the game. You know what I mean? We always make we always make mention of, like, the reason that there's a very big difference in the way that initiative is handled in, like, bolt action versus our first game, Rain in Hell, is because in bolt action you reach into that dice bag and you pull out a die and you go, oh, it's one of yours, so you get to activate a unit, and then you reach in again next turn or next round and you're like, oh, it's another one of yours, and oh, now it's one of mine, and you go back and forth. And what that is simulating is the fog of war of World War II. It simulates, like, there's explosions and smoke and you can't see what's going on, so you're just reacting to what's happening. You're reaching in and going, oh, well, that's what's going to happen. We better react. A game like Rain in Hell, well, either of them really, but Rain in Hell, like, there's no fog of war. There's not explosions. There's not smoke in the air. There's not, like, it's just a big scrum, a big melee of just demons just punching the heck out of each other. So as the leader of each side, you can both see what's going to happen, because what you do is at the beginning of each turn, you roll a d12 for each one of your models. So if I've got 5 demons left and you've got 7, then I roll 5 dice, you roll 7 dice. And then you stack them on your sheet based off of, like, 12, 11, 10. And then that's, and then phase 12 is first. Do I have a 12? No. Do you have a 12? No. Okay. Well, now it's 11. You have an 11. I don't have an 11. So you get to activate a guy. Boom. Now it's 10. I have 3 10s. So now I get to activate 3 guys in a row. And so, but you can see my sheet and I can see yours. So we both know how things are going. So having rules that make sense for the story is important. Now, you might be able to say, yeah, but in this rule, you're rolling a d12 and you're trying to hit a target number. They did that in this game, in this game, in this. Well, yeah, but that's like saying dice. Like, oh, well, our game used dice and nobody else can use dice. It's not really a thing. So it's the mixture of all the different things. And every once in a while, stuff comes up that you're like, wow, I'd never really thought about that. I mean, I still think to this day that the Malifaux like card game mechanic, the way that you're using basically like a poker deck. It's thematic because it's kind of got a bit of a Wild West vibe to the whole game, but it's basically like you've got this when you're not using dice and you're using cards, you know how many kings there are in the deck. There's 4. When you're rolling dice, you could potentially roll 26 times in X amount of rolls, but you don't know. You also might only roll it once. But when you're using a deck of cards and you've already played, at some point 2 kings, you only have 2 left in the deck. And so there's that too. So it's there's a lot of little interesting systems, I think. What are some other games for someone who's only ever been interested in the Imperial Guard for 40K? I would tell you to take a look at One Page Rules. So One Page Rules is a company that makes very super inexpensive rule systems that work with lots of different things. They have a game called Grimdark Future, which is basically an army-style game that allows you to use whatever kind of models you want, but they do have a lot of things in there that you'd look at as a person who's played 40K and be like, oh, I recognize that. Oh, I know what they're doing there. But you can also do lots of other things as well. It's just an easier rule set. It's a quicker and plays faster, and it's just overall, I think, better. Otherwise, I guess I don't know what you mean. Like, I don't know if you're talking about like do you want to play like games that are just only humans, or you don't want to play with any aliens, or you want to play games with like big tanks, or where I guess I don't know what you mean exactly. Otherwise, I need to get those desiccant packets instead of damp rid. Cygnus found it. There you go. Darius Keelisic. I think I'm pronouncing that wrong. If you don't already know him, Craftsman on YouTube has been doing soft vinyl toys, and he's a great channel. Sure, yeah, I've seen some of his stuff. I don't want to do the soft vinyl because I did watch one of his videos, and I'm like, oh god, that's way too much work. I don't want to do that, and I also don't want to. What a lot of people do, who don't live in Japan, is they eventually travel to Japan and they meet up with folks in Japan and they start a relationship, business relationship, and then they design stuff and send it to Japan to have the soft vinyl, blanks made and then get mailed to them in the United States or the UK or wherever it is that they live. And then they will then take those and paint those. And that's cool. But it takes like a year plus a trip to Japan, plus back and forth and all that kind of jazz. And I don't know. Like I said, the squishy vinyl isn't a necessity to me. It's not necessarily what I'm particularly interested in. So again, whether it's poured resin, in molds, or even 3D printed resin. There's a couple different 3D printed resins that are being used more and more in the art kind of toy thing. That might be something I might look at down the road too, but I'm not sure yet. Trying to find a way to slow down when minis I get, but I just can't do it. Shelf of Shame always being empty sometimes is a bummer because I don't have stuff to paint. That's rare. Most people have got way too much stuff. So. Keeping with the water theme, what do you think of Carnivale if you've played it? Love your channel and keeping us all nerd hobbyists entertained. I've never played it. It's like stylistically not something I'm super interested in. Like I've heard great things about like the mechanics of like hopping from building to building and all that kind of stuff. Excuse me. But there's something stylistically about it that I'm just not interested in. I'm almost always interested in sci-fi, or once in a while there's some fantasy stuff, but like I get a vibe that Carnivale is kind of Renaissance sort of, and it's just I don't know. It's not necessarily my thing particularly, but I've heard a lot of people like it. I think it's a lot bigger overseas than it is here too. I've been following the artists you get for these games. We've been very lucky to work with some great folks. Good sunny morning from St. Jerome, Quebec. Got renewed to give more classes in 3D printing and modeling. Well, that's very great. Try Osprey's Tomorrow War if you have a ton of Imperial Guard. It's near future with no aliens or magic or any of that kind of stuff. Do I have that? That sounds really familiar. I swear I have that somewhere. Maybe it's in the basement. The Slimehouse channel goes over those Sofubi things. Yeah, I've watched a bunch of his stuff. Yeah. It's amazing because like he's got like his productions are really good and he makes I think really good videos, but it's like maybe it's because it's such a niche. I don't know. I'm not sure. But like I assumed that his subscribers were a lot higher than they were, and then after I watched a bunch of his stuff, and then I was like, huh, I'm kind of surprised. He's been to. I think I first heard about him because I was watching a video about ChillCon over in the UK, and I think he was either there. It was either his video or he was hanging out with somebody else that I was watching, and then I was like, oh, interesting. And then yeah, so I've been following Slimehouse TV for a minute. Doesn't Gundam have their own skirmish game or war game? I remember seeing a lot of ads on YouTube about it. Not yet, but soon. There's a game that's going to be called Gundam Assemble, I think is what it's called. And it is kind of a miniatures game, basically. It's kind of a miniatures game. It's kind of a board game because it's like played on hexes. It's not played like on a normal just open board where you measure and stuff like that. It's played on a hex board. I'll be honest, when I saw that it was on a hex board, I was like, oh, okay, I already wasn't super interested because I've never really been into Gundam. But when I found out it was on a hex board, I was even less interested. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just not into hex board games in most situations. So. Let's see here. Everything moved. There we go. I like to buy vintage plastic model kits. Gotcha. I backed Oil and Iron. Haven't played yet, but the option to play in 10mm scale looks great. Cool. I love the square bases of the classic GW sculpts that band together in tight formations, kind of puzzle-like. Yeah, I've never been into that. I've never been into square bases, and I don't like rank and flank. I don't know. It's just a personal thing. Shatterpoint was in development long before AMG got Legion, X-Wing, and Armada. Shatterpoint is the same scale as MSP or MCP. Yeah, I know it's the same scale as MCP. It doesn't. I guess it didn't sell, or it hasn't been selling because they were the ones that came out 3 months ago, 2 months ago, 2 or 3 months ago, and they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna kind of put it on hold, sort of, or they're gonna basically." I forget what they called it. They're not like getting rid of it. They're basically like, "Hey, we're gonna continue to like." They're gonna not make new stuff, maybe or something. I don't know. A lot of people got all freaked out about it, but I think it's still there. Our group collector of minis runs various games at Gen Con. One of those is Vor, which had a really good tournament last year. Oh, that's cool. Some would say that all mini companies should have their IP in skirmish, army, and epic formats in minis, and they would be correct. I can't. No, I mean I wouldn't do that. Skirmish, army, and epic formats, and minis in 28mm epic scales. I would not be interested in doing that personally. Like, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to make any of our games an army game, first of all, and I also don't want to change the scale either. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, if a company wants to go down that road, so they have the ability to do that, that's great on them. But for me, if it's like, oh, you should do this, I'd be like, well, sorry, we're not gonna. Got to get some garden work done. Yeah. I'm waiting on my Amazon order while here assembling. There you go. Nice. Gen Con vendor area is huge, but it's still limited. True. But I don't know, man. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like Gen Con's being weird. Predictions are hard, especially when they're about the future. Happy Sunday. Speaking of Gen Con 26, what are you excited to see this year and what events are you looking forward to? I never go to a convention because I'm excited to see something other than just people. Like, I guess I don't pay close enough attention to know like what's going to be announced or any kind of stuff like that. I mean, the stuff that I'm interested in at Gen Con is basically like in the grand scheme of things, I really shouldn't go to Gen Con because miniature gaming is such a tiny portion of Gen Con. You know, you've got like your board gaming and your role playing games, and then you've got your magic cards, and then way down here you've got miniatures. I mean, you know, GW's got a booth, Mantic's got a booth. You know, there are some booths in there for companies, but there's so few and far between, and there's not tons and tons of events and stuff like that. The main reason I go to Gen Con is because it is a business thing. It's like, you know, when I was years ago, I made a video about like why I'm going to probably stop going to Gen Con, and then I immediately, like the next year, I had like 3 companies being like, "Hey, you're gonna be at Gen Con, right? We can get together and have a meeting." And I was like, "Ah." So if I wasn't doing the YouTube channel, I wouldn't go to Gen Con, just straight up, because like I said, it's not really known for its miniatures content. The main reasons I go to Gen Con are to talk to companies. Like we always meet with our rep from Wargame Vault there. It's like the only show he goes to for the most part. I think he might go to some historical show near where he lives, but yeah. He's a good guy, Steve. Like him a lot. So there's that. There's but I don't really go to play in events and stuff like that for the most part. The main reason I go, like I said, besides business meetings, is to hang out with my friends that I go to Gen Con with. It's the only time of the year that I get to see them to some degree. So that's part of it right there. So yeah, I don't know. I don't have any idea what's coming out. I don't think anything important is coming out in the world of miniatures at Gen Con. So yeah. Bought a bunch of Barnes & Noble GW board games to get the miniatures. I had a long discussion with myself that it was okay to ditch the games I never have intention of playing, especially Age of Sigmar. Sure. Thanks for your videos about makeup brushes and for the advice that any war games is mini agnostic if you believe in yourself. It's true. It's true. I keep a small tabletop dehumidifier with my printers. The goal was to close the cabinet around them and keep that space dry. Then I got a bigger printer and had to cut a hole in the cabinet. Well, yeah. Anything smaller than a 3.0 is next to useless in my experience. They don't hold enough paint, and the paint that they do dries before you can get it to the model. I've got decent experience. I'll use a 5.0, but again, it's for very, 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 very small things that I'm going to use for sort of quickly. The sweet spot for me is basically, like I said, the 1 and the 5. And every company makes their sizes slightly different, you know, so there's that too. Do you have any experience with Modifius games? I'm interested in the XCOM skirmish game they're working on. I own a little bit of Fallout Tactics, Fallout Factions. I own a little bit of Fallout Factions. There's something about the models that bugs me, and I can't quite put my finger on it. I feel like they're too tall. They're like too slender. I don't know. There's something scale-wise that just... But I'm trying to think what else I might have from them. I can't think of anything else other than that, maybe. But I'm slightly interested in the XCOM thing too, a little bit. I got to be honest. I'm not usually into licensed stuff, but XCOM, I mean, we made Majestic 13, which is basically XCOM meets X-Files a little bit. That was kind of the idea. But it'll be interesting to see what kind of models they come out with, I guess. Joy Toy Space Marine models are art toys, and they cost as such. Well, but they're a lot more posable. In my opinion, those guys are more action figures. They are expensive, don't get me wrong, but they're also, I think, more action figures. Art toys generally just sort of stand there. Maybe you can move the arms around a little bit, but they're not usually designed to be, they're designed more to be like little mini sculptures, I find. Can hardly wait until pension day so I can finally order a wash and cure system. Oh, there you go. I tried the bionic bristle brushes. They felt nice, but ended up hooking just as quickly as regular synthetic brushes while costing more than sable brushes, which was disappointing. I thought they only cost about $9 or $10. I don't know. I usually see sable brushes considerably more expensive. I've not had the problem with them. They'll hook a little bit, but honestly, sometimes I want a little bit of a hook because it helps me to paint for like the edges of things and catch things a little bit here and there. But they don't hook like crazy that I've found, but I also clean them. I know a lot of people don't clean synthetic brushes because like, well, you don't need to clean them. And I'm like, you kind of do. But I've been using the same number 5, the same number 1, and the same 5.0 and I've been using the same 10-0, but I've used it like literally 5 times. But those other two specifically, the 1 and the 0, I've been using for, when did I get them? This past autumn, I think. Yeah. I've been using them for a long time, and they've held up, and I've been fine with them. But again, like I said, I do clean them, so I don't know. I just don't like natural hair brushes. I just really don't. Wet season is supposed to be over, but the amount of available sunlight has been rather disappointing recently. That's no fun. Assembled a 30-minute fantasy yesterday. Picked it up because it looked cool. I don't know what a 30-minute fantasy is. East Tennessee, how you doing? So they are to be part of a 2-player Trench Crusade starter. Yeah, that Carcass Front is a 2-player. Like, it's got 2 forces in it, and it's like a narrative. What do you call it? Carcass Front is a narrative campaign set for the Trench Crusade tabletop skirmish game that includes models for 2 opposing warbands, scenarios, and two campaigns for the game. So there's going to be like maps and all kinds of cool stuff. I swear I've seen it where the pages in my books would go wonky and wavy even in a closed bookcase, but then straighten themselves out eventually. Has anyone else witnessed that with their books? I don't think so. Not me. I don't. Was wondering what the deal was with the millstones. Oh yeah, they're basically like, again, it's a penitence kind of thing, you know. Art toys are usually made as very short, limited runs by an individual. Right, exactly. Anything mass-produced really isn't an art toy. Yeah, that's why Funko Pops aren't. There's a lot of when you go to some of these shows, there's people who are like, I made 6 of these, you know what I mean, or whatever, and that's, yeah. Chat on slow mode? Nope, I'm just always behind. I'm always very far behind because I start talking and then you guys keep chatting, and then it takes me a while to catch up. So apologize for that. Sound like you have a kit bashing video to do to fix the blade on that guy's gun, maybe. Managed to find it for 140 Canadian for pre-order. If anyone Canadians are interested, that's pretty cool. That's good. Yeah. Happy day from Lansing, Michigan. How you doing? Meal prepping? Nice. How does the wargaming aspect of tabletop compare with the TTRPG aspect? I've never played a wargame, and while I've been gaming since '85, first used minis last November in a game. I mean, there's basically no role-playing in wargames. You are commanding a force of models, which if you're in a skirmish game, it would be maybe 5, 6, 7, 10 models. If you're playing an army game, then it might be 60, 70, 100 models, depends on the game. And they're usually like in squads then, you know, as opposed to individuals. But in a skirmish game, if you've got 6 or 8 or 10 guys, each one of them is an individual and you activate them separately, usually. There is sometimes in some skirmish games, not so much in army games, but in some skirmish games, you will get a situation where you get a little bit of role-playing, but not like role-playing like in a role-playing game, more like role-playing in a video game, right? Like you've ever played like something like Fallout. As you go up in experience and you go up a level, you get to put points into this skill and that kind of stuff. But it's not so much about I go into the tavern to talk to the tavern keeper and find out where the goblins are and blah, blah. You know, there's not that stuff going on. But if you're playing in a campaign where you play a mission, there's a battle, it ends, you know, there can be some post-game process. Oh, this guy was injured. Did he live? Yes. Okay. But now he's got a bum leg for the next game, and that means this, or this is, you know, that kind of thing. And you do that kind of campaign stuff. There's a little bit of what some people will call role-playing in there, in that you're like, okay, well, this guy's got enough experience points now. He could move his skill level in this up one, and that makes him better in the next game and that kind of stuff. So again, it's more like video game RPGs as opposed to tabletop RPGs. But there's a little bit of that. But otherwise, the rest of it is usually not something you find in war games. War games are more about just the combat parts. Like back in the day when I was playing in college, we were playing Rollmaster, which was made by Iron Crown Enterprises. It was a role-playing game. I enjoyed the, like, now we're going to have a battle part, and I wasn't interested in the, like, well, now we're going to go talk to the townspeople part. That part never was of interest to me personally. Um, it's another reason why I've never really watched like any kind of Critical Role and that kind of stuff. I don't need the play acting and the stuff. I just want the fighting parts. You know what I mean? So that's why I do wargaming instead. So yeah, but that's kind of the main difference, is that the wargaming basically just focuses on the fighting, whereas there's no conversation and, like, this, that, the other thing generally. I'm really enjoying the direction One Page Rules is taking, but how do you feel about the price of the Worlds Beyond Brawl? Do you get a lot, but it feels expensive? I guess I haven't seen the price. I mean, it's 500 models, isn't it? Worlds Beyond Brawl. Campaign. Let's see here. So if you want to get all of the creators, 21 different warbands from 18 different creators, is $180. If you want just the sci-fi ones, that's $150. If you want all the fantasy ones, that's interesting. So the fantasy ones, there's 34 different warbands, but the all creators says there's 21 warbands. That's kind of wackadoo. Anyway, whatever. If you want everything, it's $400. Otherwise, it's like $50, excuse me, or $60 depending. It's interesting. I mean, the fact of the matter is if you're like, I just really want these guys, then you just wait until this thing is done, and then you just buy those guys. I don't know. I don't understand why this is done this way. And I'm not saying that they're doing it weird. I don't understand, like, especially with STLs. I'm like, hey, I've come up with all these new STLs. They're really cool. I'm going to put them on Kickstarter. Well, aren't they done already? Yeah. But then why are we doing, like, you know what I mean? Like, just put them up for sale. But I know that there's some sort of weird lizard brain marketing thing that happens, that you're like, well, if I just started to sell them, people wouldn't buy them. But if I put them up on a Kickstarter, I don't understand why. Partially, it's because I think you get a discount. If you buy them now, you're going to get the stuff for cheaper than if you buy it retail later. Okay, great, whatever. But, like, again, if you're like, but I just want these guys, then you got to wait. But yeah, I don't know if you're getting, like, okay, so this tier 1 arena, or tier A arena assault, you get $50. You pay $50 and you get 7 different packs of miniatures. I don't know what the total number is. I don't know. More than 50 models. I don't think that's terrible. I don't know what the prices are if you're getting these things printed. Like, I don't know if they sell them as prints versus STLs. That I don't know. But I don't know. I don't think the price is out of hand. I think that people expect that STLs should cost almost nothing, and I don't personally believe that. I mean, if you're like, oh, here's a box of like 5 guys and it's $60, well, that's kind of weird, because that's how much like a GW box of guys costs, right? So that's not great. But yeah, I don't know. Like $50 for more than 50 models, it seems like a decent cost to me, but that's a different story. Oh, I probably should have pushed the button. Look at that. Anyway, so this is the Worlds Beyond Brawl, and if you want to get all of the models ever, it's $400. You're getting 54 warbands from 18 different creators. That's a lot. But if you're like, yeah, but I just really want these guys or those guys, again, you can get some relatively inexpensive ones, and you're getting 5 to 6 packs. They're basically charging you $10 per pack of STLs from each creator. Here in these tiers, you get 5 of them, $50. So yeah. If you just want all the sci-fi ones, it's $150, but you're going to get, what is that, 20 of them, 20 different packs. It says 22, actually. All right. Well, that's cool. 20 different sci-fi war bands for the campaign, as well as the advanced rule PDF. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Let's see. I've only painted minis for fun, never for gaming. That's still a good time, though, right? Oh, and the chat moved. There we go. Some are calling games like 5 Leagues, 5 Battle Systems, Rangers of Shadow Deep. Wait. Some are calling games like 5 League, Battle Systems, Rangers of Shadow Deep adventure war games due to the RPG-like mechanics. So do you this what? Do you this is a growing part of the hobby? I mean, the games that Vince and I make are all campaign oriented, so as opposed to just like, hey, let's you and me fight. Also, all the games that we make, well, not all the bigger games that we make are also all solo and co-op. And also, if you want to play against each other, you can. But really, this game that's coming out in June 5th and all of our other games, for the most part, are all designed to be either played solo or co-op. You can play them versus mode, adversarial or whatever you want to call it. But in general, these are designed to be played solo and co-op. And I think that it is definitely a growing part of the industry. I think it's not obviously as huge as, GW and their big, versus mode kind of stuff, but you also see GW even starting to pick up that stuff. They did some solo and co-op kill team. And then now the most recent thing they did is they did a game with the big giant Tyranid guy, where it's like you have a group of guys fighting against just one monster, which is interesting because our game Majestic 13 is basically the same kind of thing. That's very, very interesting that they're taking our stuff. Anyway, whatever. But yeah. Is it just me, or does Trench Crusade feel so much deeper in some parts than 40K, although being indie through and through? I mean, they're a pretty small company. When I was talking to one of the guys who works for them at Adepticon, his name is Alexander, I asked him like straight up because I didn't know. I'm like, how many people like full time work for Factory Fortress, which is the overall company that makes Trench Crusade? And I think he said 12 or 14, but it's not that many. You know what I mean? So it's still a particularly pretty small company. They just have a decent sized war chest after the Kickstarter that they did do, and now they're creating plastics and going forward and doing the stuff, and that's pretty cool. I did just buy an airbrush from Harbor Freight. No, not the good one. Not ready for that yet. Okay, but hoping to learn how to use an airbrush. Figured starting with primers would be a good idea. Yeah, I mean that's the reason I bought my airbrush initially was because I needed to be able to prime in the winter. I live in Wisconsin, and so rattle can in the winter is possible. I've made videos about how you can do it, but it's quicker and easier if you just use an airbrush. And so I started out literally just priming, and then the main thing I did after that was then I started just like zenithal priming, you know what I mean? So these guys are sprayed black and then sprayed kind of from above with this kind of mid-gray color, and you spray this over the top because then it kind of simulates light coming down from above. So there's like little micro shadows underneath their arms where the paint didn't get, aka the light doesn't go. You know what I mean? I've made videos about zenithal highlighting and zenithal priming and stuff like that. You can check those out on YouTube as well. But what it does is it basically adds in shadows to the model, because when miniatures are very small, you have to kind of accentuate highlighting and you have to accentuate shadows, because there's something about the physics of light that something small doesn't give it off that highlight and shadow as much as like if the guy was like, full size, like a statue. You don't have to paint a statue to have shadows and highlights. They just do. And people have highlights and shadows. I've got highlights on my forehead and shadows underneath my arm or whatever. But with miniatures, you kind of have to accentuate that to make it happen. So doing that is very quick with an airbrush. Picked up some models at Walmart on discount. Planning on using my regular mini paints. Anything to watch out for? I mean, painting miniatures like toys and things like that, the one thing to watch out for is that rattle can primer can sometimes react with certain plastics. So, as an example, there's a company out there called Reaper, and Reaper has made a line of miniatures for years and years and years called Reaper Bones. And the early Reaper Bones white plastic miniatures, if you use a rattle can to prime them, they would never cure. Well, I mean, maybe eventually, like on geological scale, but they would be sticky for months and months and months and months and months and months. And so that was no bueno, right? But it was something about the propellant or the chemicals or whatever. But if you just sprayed with your airbrush to prime them, no problem. Or if you just painted on primer, no problem. But rattle can, not so great. So as a test, if you're going to prime them, spray with rattle can first and then let it sit for a couple days or whatever, and then say, is it still sticky? Because if it's still sticky, then you know that you're probably going to want to prime it either with brush on primer or with spraying some primer through an airbrush or something like that, because then it won't have a problem. But yeah, that's the only big thing I can think of. Darius Keel-Ishak. Gotcha. There you go. Finally convinced my friends to give Zona Alpha a go, going to my LGS to pick up some kits from Wargames Atlantic Pulp Adventure line for kit bashing crews. Nice. I don't think Gundam Assemble be hard to transition to template movement setup. I'm interested to try that when it comes out. Huh? Miniatures Rundown, how you doing? It's so weird to me that Shatterpoint didn't sell when MCP does so well. Even though I didn't like it personally, it seems like the same winning formula, lots of characters people love, in an accessible skirmish format. I think it's because they were flooding their own market. I honestly think people are like, I don't know. You would think I would have liked it because I generally like skirmish games more than I like army games, right? But I played a demo of it when it first came out. There were way too many tokens. It was a little too board gamey for me, a little bit. And I just don't like the scale. I mean, that's another reason why I'm not super into, obviously, Marvel Crisis Protocol either. Is the guys are just too big, you know? Shatterpoint is in maintenance mode? Was that how? Yes, that's the word they used. Maintenance mode. I'm 98% sure that was the term they used, yes. Is it bad to leave painted minis exposed to the sun at home? I mean, over time, they will probably fade, maybe. Like if you put them in a window or something like that. Gen Con 50th was just stupid with 100,000 people. I don't think it had that many. They basically cut off Gen Con at 72,000 now. Like that's what they announce when they say it. They cut off at 72,000. Just got into a 12mm skirmish game called Sector Alex. Really cool sci-fi multi-genre game. Pirates, floating city, airships. Oh. Let's see here. What are your thoughts on the new Kill Team Delvin game / minis? The Imperial Guard dudes were sort of cool looking. I might pick up a box of those eventually when they come out, like not singularly, but when they're not part of that big kit. And then use them for something else. But otherwise, yeah, I haven't really paid attention to Kill Team in quite a while, other than once in a while buying some models. Like I really like the Sanctifier models. I thought those guys were cool. The Inquisitorial Agents were not a bad box, but again, I'm buying those things mostly for other games, predominantly for a lot of kit bashing, really. Shatterpoint is now a specialist game, which they clarified means it will get rule support and be sold. However, no regular release schedule. Gotcha. All right. Going to be a pensioner next year. Kind of surprised to have lived this long, but it's only May, and I got a lot going to happen in a year. I mean, sure, it's true. Corvus Games Train, how you doing? Why wouldn't someone clean a synthetic brush? I don't know. Some people are like, well, you don't have to because it's synthetic. I'm like, no, you still do. I'm disappointed your favorite terrain was not the Warcry 2nd Edition starter set, since your video on it got me to deep dive into buying all Warcry. I liked this first edition. What the heck was the second? No, the second edition was all meat trees. I don't like the meat trees. Are you kidding? The second edition starter set was the meat trees, wasn't it? The first edition starter set was astounding. That was awesome stuff. I'm not going to lie. I think I didn't mention Warcry much in the video because they haven't mentioned Warcry since last year. And it is technically still available. You can still technically go onto the Games Workshop website. They want me to call it the Warhammer website, but too bad. I'm a rebel. Websites. Oh, look at the big walking building. Oh my goodness. I think it's so funny that they're like, oh yeah, and this walking building will be available in every army. I'm like, of course it will. Sure. Yeah. I can totally see why the wood elves would want a walking building for sure. Totes. More other games. Warcry online only. So it's still technically there, but it is online only. You can't get it in stores. Anyway, but yeah, this is all that's left currently right now of Warcry. There's not even a single box set or anything. It's just, here's a bunch of models. Chaos Spawn. Why is that over here? That doesn't make any friggin' sense. Anyway, so yeah, like they just won't admit that they're shutting it down. They'll just whatever. But that's probably a big reason of why I didn't really mention it during the video, because I just can't think of it as much anymore, unfortunately. But the original terrain, Warcry first edition terrain. Are we gonna find anything? Oh yeah, that's the stuff. This jazz right here. This stuff was the best stuff that they've ever made, in my opinion. Yeah. Why they don't just sell it singularly now? They just be like, here's, I don't understand. I don't get it. But they didn't ask me. So, what are you going to do? My wife got the volume 2 of the John Blanche paint sets. Nice. I love set 1 and set 2. I love set 3 and 4 are not necessarily my color area, but 1 and 2 are spectacular in my opinion. It took me ages to get into the habit of flipping my brush around every few or so strokes, but that's helped immensely. Oh yeah. Yeah, no, like one of the things I do really like about the paint handles from Army Painter is that they're that triangle shape instead of just being round. So it's very simple when I'm painting to just kind of just do this a little bit. I just kind of flip it, you know what I mean? I don't have a paintbrush here because this is not where I paint, but it's just like when you're painting, you're like, all right, and then just a little, it's like you're rotating it 33%. I don't know, it's triangles. I don't know, whatever. And then, that does help too. So I think I do that enough that maybe that helps with the hook too. I also am very good about, because I'm using speed paint so frequently, I'm very good about going back to the water, back to the water, back to the water. If you just keep using speed paint and don't rinse, like if you're using the same color, I do a lot of assembly line. I do a lot, like I'm currently working on my Twitch streams right now. I'm painting 14 models that are all basically kind of the same. They're not exactly the same. They're in different poses, but they're all wearing basically the same stuff, right? So, it's like, okay, we're going to be doing wrist guards now for like, the next half an hour. And it's just wrist guard, wrist guard, wrist guard. And then, you got 14 guys. But I used to do like 4 or 5 and then be like, oh, my brush is just gunked all up terrible. Well, now I've gotten very much into the habit of you paint one guy, rinse out the brush, paint another guy, rinse out the brush, rinse out the brush. And that I think helps too. Cheers from Boise, Idaho. How you doing? 30-minute fantasy is the 30-minute missions, but with knights and wizards. Are they still robots or not? That's weird. Huh. Paints for my birthday, and they are really good. How many sets are there? For the there are 4 sets currently, and I think there might even be a 5th someday. Website. You go to shop. Oops. Sets and bundles. Product range, nope. Theme, no. Masterclass, there we go. So there's the John Blanche Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3 over here, and Volume 4. Or you can get all of them and save 5%. The 1 and 2s come with metallics. So John Blanche 1 comes with Emperor's Gold, and it also comes with a speed paint, which I love, Blood Moon Red. And then there's also 2 washes, and the rest of the colors are like regular opaque Fanatics. And then the second one comes with Heavy Metal, which is a great silverish color, Grim Rust, which is basically a rust effect paint, but it's between Fresh Rust and Dark Rust, Voodoo Shade, which is awesome, Turnbull Turquoise, which is a great super dark blue speed paint, and then a bunch of other colors, Fiery Vermilion being, I think, the big winner there. Sunburst Ochre I like too, but Fiery Vermilion I use all the time. So yeah. The 2 other new sets, the 3 and 4, like one is a cool color set, one's a warm color set. I did a video a while back about using the warm color set. They don't have any metallics. They just come with like 2 washes, and there's also no speed paint, but then it's like, 8 regular colors, like regular opaque paints, and then 2 washes. Same with this one too. So yeah. And like I said, I have a strong suspicion there might be one more set, because I think I saw, I think, I would be surprised if there's not. Let's just say that. There we go. I see there was a leak from GW that they will release painted terrain piece. I don't think it was a leak. Didn't they put out a video? I remember I saw a video. Like, yeah, it was like it had Eddie in it and another guy who I don't know. I've met Eddie. I don't know the other guy's name. Some are asking the question, will they ever re-release pre-painted models? I don't think so. I don't think so either. So, okay. The way that they're doing this terrain, I could be wrong, but I don't think I am, because they're also not the first to do this. Archon Studios did this previously, but now GW is doing it. It's not painted, it's printed. Okay, so there's a type of printer out there that's been around for years, but now you can even get them at home, and it's called a UV printer. Eufy makes a UV printer. EUFY printer. Oh, excuse me. Eufy Make is the name of the company. There. So for about $2,300, you get this machine. No, I don't want to subscribe. Thank you. And what it does is it prints with a resin that's very much like 3D printer resin. It's very much like this, like the stuff that you make, models out of, except it has a color. So there's a cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. Those are the standard colors that make up full color prints. But then there's also, I think, white in there as well. Cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. Some other color and white, I'm pretty sure, are the 6 different cartridges. And what it does is that it allows it basically sprays the paint down, or the resin down onto the surface of whatever you're putting stuff on. So I don't know. Well, here's an example, as a matter of fact. So this, my friend Dave from Bottle and Spool, he's the guy that does my 3D printing usually, bottleandspool.com, you should check him out. He's got one of these Eufy Make printers. So he was like, hey, can you send me your logo? And I was like, sure. And then he printed this onto like a little dice tray. And they snap on the corners so you can flatten it out and, I don't know, put it in your backpack or whatever. And then you get to where you're going, and then you just snap them back together again, and boom, you got yourself a dice tray. But this was printed while it was flat onto the surface, and it's very robust. Like, you can't scrape it very easily because it gets printed and then it gets shined a UV light as the printer head goes over the top of it. But the thing is, it's kind of like an inkjet, and it can go a distance before it hits the object. So what they're doing is they're taking the sprues for their terrain, they're putting it into like this bigger, but they're not using a little desktop version. They're using a bigger one, and then it goes over and it sprays the color onto the the flat stuff. Now the benefit is that terrain is generally sort of flat. You might put it together and make it into like a really three-dimensional doohickey, but when it's on the sprue, it's pretty flat. The reason I don't think they'll do this with miniatures, probably, is because the miniatures, even though they're relatively flat on the thing, they're still kind of rounded in some spots. And there's like weird, like, I think they would have to start making their sprues very differently for models to make them basically pre-printed like this, because it is literally not paint. It is a printer that is printing directly onto these things and then shining UV light on them makes them incredibly sturdy. The paint doesn't rub off, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I doubt they'll do it. I'm a little surprised they're doing it with terrain, but again, Archon did it first. Archon had his stuff out last year that was basically pre-colored terrain. But again, it's a relatively flat wall, and you're just kind of having this printer go over and just squirt paint down on top of it, and there you go. I had this, yeah. But this is UV, and it's like I said, it's very, very sturdy, and it's not coming off. So I'm gonna get the ones that I'm going to get made aren't as floppy as this. They're still the snaps on the edges, and they're still going to be square, I think, but they're going to be more rigid. I'll be getting them done sometime in June or July, I think. But yeah. Let's see. Grimdark Future StarQuest is an interesting skirmish wargame / role-playing hybrid. Yeah, for sure. Mage Knight Dungeons game was a lot of fun. I'd have to find all my stuff. Oh yeah, I remember that back in the day. Dunnies from Kid Robot are probably the definitive art toy. Could be. I don't think I've got. I mean, these two books are by Kid Robot, but I don't know if I don't know what a Dunny is yet. I've just kind of started getting into it. So, what's your thoughts about the StarCraft game coming out? I was never super into the video game, frankly. So I don't have the nostalgia for it. I'm also not really into army games. So like the scale of it, not the physical scale of the models, but how many models there are, is also not really my thing. And I'm also usually not particularly super into licensed stuff. So it's unfortunate, but yeah, so I don't know. I hope it does well. You know what I mean? I always love making lore for my miniatures in Trench Crusade. It's just so interesting making backstory for each of them. Sure, yeah. I love the new GW Cog Fort model, but is anyone going to make a squadron and buy 4 of them at $210 a piece? Well, somebody will. Yeah, they probably will. I'm a little surprised. I honestly thought it was going to be more expensive. I was maybe just being a bit salty when I said during Vince's live stream directly after the show, when I said that I thought they were going to be $275, but I don't know. $210 is still not great. Hey, Uncle Adam, would you ever consider playing in any of the narrative Trench Crusade events at Adepticon? Probably not. Not because I don't like Trench Crusade. I'm not good at long events. You know what I mean? I mean, especially during Adepticon, I got so much other stuff going on all the time that I don't think I'd be able to spend that amount of time like doing stuff, doing like one thing, like a big thing like that. But I do like. I'm looking forward to playing Trench Crusade again with Sam once the TMX is over. But yeah. You can purchase each warband separately right now. It's in the add-on section. Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay, well, that's cool. That's pretty cool then. As an STL creator, Kickstarter for bigger projects makes sense marketing and sales-wise. Harder to get eyeballs on your models. Otherwise, you can extras and stretch goals. Yeah, I get it. I do. I understand it's a marketing thing. It's just, I don't know. Like, it seems almost performative. I mean, that's, the society we live in, but it does seem almost performative. If this stuff is all done, Why can't I just buy it now? But then you get, yeah, I get it. It's a marketing thing. I mean, it's the exact reason that Vince and I don't use it. Kickstarter is because we're just, I don't know. But yeah. STL Kickstarters that I've backed use the Kickstarter money to do widespread print testing, like on different machines at different scales. I mean, if they do, that's pretty cool. That's a smart move. Thank you so much. I'm always interested in the roots of the hobby. I've had the opportunity to talk with Griff Morgan about his documentary about the beginning of D&D and fascinated about everything. Interesting. I don't think I know about Griff Morgan. Oops. Where are we here? Oh, I'm way behind. Is anyone going to print all 500 models at home? That's a good question. That's a real good question. I don't know. Who prints your resin minis, and do they do prints commercially? Yes and yes. Can I send them STLs to have printed for a cost? Also yes. Bottleandspool.com. Bottle, Bottle, and A-N-D, spool, SPOOL.com. Resin comes in a bottle, and the filament comes on a spool. So bottleandspool.com. That's my friend Dave. He lives over there. And he prints both filament and resin, and is now starting to do UV as well. So definitely reach out to him and get a quote. Miniatures Rundown already caught that up, so there you go. I appreciate that. Let's see here. Going to try to use a Death Ward green Zenithal on brown base painted Death Guard models. Been mulling it over and over. Yeah, I did the kill team that I did of Death Guard years and years ago. I think I primed them like a dark tan color, like the old Krylon camouflage. It's like the darker of the sand colors. And then I sprayed them with a green Zenithal, like again, rattle can outside, but it was like a olive green. So they had this sort of sickly, like olive green fade to dark tan. And then I, did everything else on the top of them. But I was like, well, they're Nurgle. They should look sickly. And it worked out real well, actually. For Reaper Owens White, I never roll the dice on rattle can priming. It's too unpredictable. Yeah, no, I didn't even realize it was a problem because I had always used my airbrush on the few of the Bones models that I had done, the white ones. And then I got a piece of terrain from them one time, and I primed it with a rattle cannon, and it's like 6 months later, and it was still sticky. And I was like, what is going on? And then I was like, oh. And then after talking with Vince and Sam, they both suggested using my airbrush to spray matte varnish over it, like layer after layer after layer. And it took me 5, 6, 7 layers somewhere in there before it finally like stopped being sticky. But yeah. Interesting thing about pre-painted GW terrain is that I saw photos, it's painted on the sprue, and I assume designed so the spots you clip it off are hidden when you glue it together. Maybe. Let's hope, yeah. But yeah, it is. It's like I said, it's not even painted. It's printed. It's a color. It's like basically, let's say an inkjet printer that prints over the top of it, but it prints a very robust ink because it's UV ink. If I'm painting a model that is some toy type, the first thing I do is sealing coat of ultra matte varnish, then prime and zenithal with acrylics instead of industrial rattle cans. Sure, makes sense. I've had some old Reaper Bones gray minis, and the boxes had layers of dust on them. I just double checked before spray can worked for me. Well, that's good. Like the darker color ones, the Reaper ones are a different material, but the white ones are definitely the type that don't take rattle can. Shatterpoint, biggest problem wasn't really the game. I think it was the feeling of the neglect. Yeah. I'd heard you could use mini paints on them instead of getting model paints, but I'm new in the painting scene. Sure. Started during the pandemic. Gotcha. I can verify what Adam said, Reaper Bones and Rattle Can. It beads up on the model like water beads up on surface. See, that I didn't have. I just had Like it looked like I primed it with black and it was fine, but it was sticky and tacky for like months. I didn't have it beat up. That was, well, again, those weren't technically the white ones because it was a piece of terrain, but it was still that same material. Having worked in visual effects years ago, lighting can betray the illusion when filming with miniatures. Even water can show the scale if you don't get it right. Yeah, yeah. Warhammer website with the Warhammer paints. That walking building sure is cool. Assume I can buy it and it's not totally sold out already. Yeah, well. I mean, I'm assuming they'll make more of them. I assume that they're going to keep it in stock for a while, but maybe not. I don't know. Next dumb question. Best source to learn how to assemble and paint metal minis. Metal minis. That's a tough one. I'm not good at those. You basically just use super glue. But there's probably videos out there on YouTube about it. I think the cog forts are awesome models. A steam-powered tower with piston legs is very cool. I'm not buying 4 of them, though. One is plenty. Sure. Yeah, they're a good-looking, thing. But, yeah, $210. I don't know, man. Blanche sets 1 and 2 are grimdark, but 3 and 4 lean into the wimdark. Ooh, I like the word wimdark. That's fun. The first 2 Blanche sets immediately entered into my core paints. They're so good. I haven't yet worked with the 3rd or 4th yet. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, the 1 and 2 are constantly. Yeah, I use them all the time. I prime metal with cheap gray auto primer from discount chains. Yeah, I could see doing that. Like I generally, if I'm painting miniatures, 9 times out of 10, or maybe more, 19 times out of 20, I'm basically going to use airbrush for my priming. So Fohammer did a great in-depth look at the Eufy machine. I think I remember seeing the thumbnail. Just ordered a Cup Puck and Vincy V's art book from the Game Envy. Didn't realize they sold the art of books. Yeah, they do. Yeah, there's a new art of book series. I think there's 3 new artists coming out. I don't recognize any of their names, but they're continuing to make more. Working on Thunderhead 2. I don't know what Thunderhead 2 is. What's on my painting desk? I'm going to be working on these guys, which are the Naval Raiders from Trench Crusade. I have to get one painted very quickly so that I can send pictures to Army Painter for the project that we're all doing. Here's some slightly closer photos. They're pretty cool. This guy in the middle, though, I sort of dropped the stick at some point, and then I noticed that I've busted off his little whatever that thing is. So I'm going to have to fix that in some fashion. But yeah, I've got more than this. But to be perfectly honest, some of them showed up broken because they weren't necessarily packed. Well, they were packed fine, but I also think that whatever shipping company finally got them to me from the UK, I think must have kicked them all the way here. So the box was sort of beat up, and some of the models were, because some of them are like that guy, the main dude. Hang on, there we go. Like, where's the picture? He's that guy in the red there, right? But I think there's a better picture of him. That guy, right? Like the top of that guy's, like from the hand up, that spear is snapped off inside the. I mean, this is way too thin to be done in resin usually. These guys will be done in plastic, but they needed to get it to me sooner so I could get the stuff ready for the timing and all that kind of stuff. So they 3D printed some stuff and sent it to me. And yeah, this sword or this whatever spear thing didn't quite last or didn't quite make it here in the manhandling that we got from whatever shipping company they used. Anywho, it says zoom image, but then you can't zoom in. Anyway, so I'm gonna have to reglue that or something. I can't pin it because it's resin. That's not gonna work. Normally, if you were making this as an STL for like regular printing, it probably would have been a little bit more robust, but whatever. But these guys, until I dropped them and then broke that guy's bayonet off, they were all in pretty good shape. So I worked on them first. Let's see here. A bunch of my group are getting into StarCraft, but it's just not for me. Sure. I mean, it's, it depends on if you're into it. Like if you used to play the game and you got the nostalgia for that. It's also whether you like the style of, like it's an army style game, right? Let's see here. Everyone needs a Dave. I agree. Seems like a great idea for one of those big clickbait. I printed every mini from the OPR Kickstarter at home. Ugh, that's a lot. That is a lot. Friday video got lousy views. Weird. I quite enjoyed it. It just, it's very long and maybe, I don't know. But yeah. I'm working on my third Trench Crusade diorama right now. It's such a fun world to build inside. Well, that's cool. I've never really done a diorama. Pinning is essential with metal minis. Yeah, no, that's very, very, very frequently the case. I think Naval Raiders, like your belly button, is a different spelling. A little green stuff, a new bayonet in a new minute. I mean, or what am I saying? Bayonet? Isn't that how you spell? I don't know. I don't know. I've never had one. If the bayonet fell into the carpet, then it's lost to the void. I don't have carpet in the basement, thankfully. That would suck because it gets wet down there sometimes. How are the OPR minis from the box with rattle can? I don't think did I use rattle can on any of them? I don't think so. I mean, they're PVC, they're hard PVC. They should be okay, I think, but I don't know that actually because like I said, when I primed mine, some of them were because it was a early, copy. Some of them were 3D printed, but a lot of them were the actual production stuff. But I think I just used airbrush on all of them. Use the super glue and baking soda trick on the bayonet and sand it smooth. Makes it easier to bond fiddly bits like that. Strengthens it. Sure, I can see that. Like, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I'm probably going to paint these guys up, and then when the plastics come out, I'll probably just redo them. You know what I mean? And then put these guys someplace else or something. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, they're cool. I'm looking forward to getting going on them. I will not be able to do it today because I got to edit the podcast after I get back from lunch at the in-laws, and I've got a bunch of emails I have to respond to and TMX stuff. So hopefully tomorrow, I can start cranking on at least one of these guys to kind of get them going, but we'll see how it goes. All right, folks, it's a little bit after 11. It's time for me to get going. So I will see you folks soon. Thanks for coming by. I hope that I was at least slightly interesting. And if you were doing some hobbying, I hope you got some stuff done. Thanks for everyone who came by and hung out and chatted. I appreciate it. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. Tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Central, I'll be streaming on Twitch, unless there's some sort of problem, but there shouldn't be. I would hope, knock on wood. But yeah, otherwise, we'll see you again here in 2 weeks. How close will we be to the launch of the game? What's today's date? Today's the 17th. Oh, we'll be like a week away. It'll be the Sunday just before the launch of the new game. So maybe we'll talk about that too. It'll be great. But yeah, we'll see you folks again soon. Have yourselves a good weekend or beginning to the week if it's already, Monday where you are. And yeah, if you get the chance, do some hobby. And if you don't, it's okay. Stay safe. I think that's about everything. Yep, that should be pretty much everything. Thanks for watching.